Chemical dependency has plagued mankind since we first crushed grapes. Each millennium has treated the problems that addiction brings with a methodology unique to the times. Historically, society has a way of treating those addicted. It has imprisoned them, banished them, put them into mental institutions, religiously converted them, and in today's world, treated them. What has not changed has been the impact of chemical dependency, particularly on those addicted and their families. Herein lies the story.
The roots of addiction are both deep and ancient, and the methods used to deal with addicted persons are historically bizarre. The Egyptians used to flog drunkards. The Romans created Bacchus, a god of wine and revelry. And the Turks cured drunkenness by pouring molten lead down the throat of the inebriate. Perhaps the first example of aversion conditioning. Crude, but effective. The Greeks believed that the use of amethysts, beautiful, deep purple stones, would ward off drunkenness. They festooned their cups with amethysts, wore them when drinking, and even ground them up and put them in the wine that they drank. This could be the origin of the term stoned. It is believed that winemaking originated in the Middle East. The Old Testament credits Noah with planting the first vineyard on Mount Ararat and notes that Noah was the first person to experience drunkenness. Not recorded in the Bible is the fact that God intervened and sequestered Noah for 12 days and nights with 2 each of the foulest smelling animals on the ark. God may very well have performed the first successful intervention.
An early example of an addict who we might recognize was Alexander the Great, king of Macedonia in 350 BC, who at the age of 31 had conquered the world, and during all of his mighty triumphs he remained abstinent from any intoxicating beverages. However, after his great triumphs, in a short span of just 2 years, Alexander became alcoholic and ended his career in a series of insane escapades. He burned cities at the request of a courtesan. He killed his best friend, and his demise came in a contest of wine drinking. Alexander the Great was 33 years of age when he drank himself to death. The Romans are most famous in the drinking world for creating drinking orgies fathered by their god Bacchus. The Bacchanalia, as they are called in Latin, were characterized not only by excessive drinking and eating, but often by sexual promiscuity, bizarre religious ceremonies, and ritualistic murders. Harper's Weekly depicted Bacchus as the champion of all the gods of pestilence. Here he wins first prize over the gods of war, famine, and hate. And while Bacchus receives much of the notoriety, the Roman Emperor Nero was the patron saint of the drinker. Nero haunted the taverns, caroused in the streets, and introduced 159 holidays so that drinking became the pastime of almost every Roman. What a guy. Winemaking. Winemaking and its export became the economic basis of the Roman Empire. And with the collapse of the empire, religious institutions, particularly the monasteries, became the source of brewing and winemaking techniques. Throughout the Middle Ages, the monks had the stability, the security, and the economic resources to conduct large-scale viticulture, the growing of grapes. For nearly 1,300 years, the largest and the best vineyards were managed by religious orders. Spirits were produced by the monks and were first sold as costly medicines. Initially, spirits were distilled by burning off the alcohol from already fermented wine, producing burnt wine, hence the name brandy.
Although brandy was used extensively as a medicine and tonic, it did not gain popularity as the beverage throughout Europe. That honor was reserved for whiskey, a word derived from the Irish Gaelic, meaning the water of life. The Irish reputation for heavy drinking came from alcohol's special role in their diet. They used it as an all-purpose medicine and even as a form of currency. The Irish, bless their souls, are thought to be the first people to use alcohol to treat hangovers. This treatment was often associated with the phrase, the hair of the dog that bit you. And you've probably also heard the expression, God made whiskey so the Irish wouldn't rule the world. It was not until the 19th century that the production of beer, wine, and distilled beverages became efficient and cheap enough to supply inexpensive alcohol to the masses. By the mid-1800s, alcoholism was a recognizable problem.